Hello, and welcome to the first week's assignment. Now, for those of you who watched the introduction and overview, know that I'm Dr. Greg Parsons, and I'm the instructor for this particular class. What we're going to be doing today is reviewing the first week's assignment, and as you've already gone to check your announcements, now we're going to be taking a look at the start here, because sometimes there'll be a new item app. So after you've gotten into the class and checked your announcements on the home page, then you want to take a look at the Start Here section. Start Here is where I post additional videos and files that you might find useful. It's the easiest place to put them, and both students and faculty can get to them fairly easily. So this is where I'll post things. Generally, I'll let you know there's something new in the announcements. Okay. So you can see here we have links that take you to the Kaiser library, so you can go in and start getting your journal articles. And by the way, I don't supply the articles themselves, the text version. I give you the links or the titles so you can go into the library and select them out of the EBSCOhost database. I think the practice of getting into the library and searching around and finding things is a good experience. You should become very familiar with that, so that doesn't seem like a hard thing to do. That's an easy thing to do. So all the articles you're required reading are going to come out of the library. You're going to have to go to the library to get them. If you have trouble finding them, and you shouldn't, but if you do, get in touch with me and we'll go through a little tutorial session to make sure that you can find things in the library. You also have the Kaiser Web Outlook access, which is your email, and then we have the items I've inserted, the links that go to the introduction and overview, which you hopefully have already seen. I have a presentation that I put together on scholarly writing, which will be helpful for you as you prepare for your Week 2 paper. And I've also done a short session on peer-reviewed journal articles, more specifically what they are, where they come from, why we like them, how they get in the library, and so on. Again, if this is all sort of new to you, then this should be useful background information. And again, there'll be more things popping up in Start Here, and I will let you know via the announcement section. Now we'll be looking at Week 1 specifically. So when you click on Week 1, this is what will come up. And as you can see, we've got the topic for the week, which is the introduction to class, as well as the main discussion topic, which is the evolution of management and leadership research, theory and practice. The watch indicates that this is what you need to watch. You should have watched the introduction and overview of the class. That's available in the Start Here. And then you should be watching the Week 1 assignment video, which is what you're watching right now. And each week there'll be a new assignment video, and it'll be positioned in the same place. And all you have to do is when you come in to see what's going on for this week, click on the Watch Video button, and that'll take us into the explanation of this week's assignment. It will be consistent with what's on the syllabus and what's written in the class. However, I'll be able to give you a little more in-depth explanation of what the expectations are, what the requirements are, and give you a good starting point if you have to ask questions. This week we have some readings. We've got a 1954 article from Management Science Journal on the evolution of science of managing in America. Then we have an article from the Harvard Business Review published in 2012 called The Century of Management, which again gives a different perspective, but should be consistent with the first article, which tries to lay out how our thinking about management has evolved over the past 100+ years. Then we have an article called Management Theory and the Practice of Management. And this will begin to develop the idea that we kind of have two competing aspects to management. One is the practice of management, of course, which is going on all around us all the time. But then we have management theory, which is produced by academics and consultants and others in the field who try to come up with provable theory so we can predict what's going to work and what's not going to work. And the practice and theory kind of have an interesting dynamic between them that we'll be talking about over this class. We also have an article by Gary Yukel, who's considered one of the leading researchers in business leadership called Managerial Leadership, a review of theory and research. And we have 100 years of management, again, which is kind of an overview. This is taken from the Business Strategy Review of 2008. And again, it's another person's perspective on the history and evolution of management, theory and practice. So what you're going to be doing is reading these articles, and then coming up for your discussion is trying to explain and describe how researchers, including the researchers that we've just looked at, how they understand evolution of management and leadership thinking. Okay, and as I said, there's an interesting dynamic that goes on between the two, and consequently you're going to have to sort out how theory has influenced management and how management has influenced theory. So you should read the articles thoroughly, take notes, be sure you understand the assignment, okay, before you start writing anything. As you start laying things out, make sure you understand what you're trying to do. You'll be using the assigned readings as a starting point to frame your analysis. Again, we just don't sit down and start writing at the top of the page, and when we get to the end of the page we're done. We have to come up with a general idea of how this reading, how the research is going to lead to our understanding of the topic, and then how we're going to write about it based upon the research that we've read. Notice that we're not asking for your opinion of the evolution of management. We're asking you to describe how researchers understand the evolution of management and leadership thinking. And again, not so much how the practice has evolved, but how people have thought about it as expressed in writing. So you're writing about what the experts in the field have written about, because if we're looking at peer-reviewed articles, this has been reviewed by experts who say this is as close as we know to reality, this is true fact, and if you write based upon what they've said, you're building your arguments upon solid foundation. So this is kind of a review of what I did in the initial introduction to the course and overview. You'll write your initial post in Word. You don't start writing in the text editor of Blackboard. You'll use all the features of Word to spell check and grammar check your work. Your references need to be in standard APA formatting, but you should do that all the time, because when you reuse your references, you want to just reuse them in the standard form that is already good to go with your papers. You don't need to write a cover page. You don't need to write an abstract. In a sense, what will be posting is somewhat of an abstract of your thinking about this topic. You will be using Safe Assign Draft and Safe Assign Final. And when you're finished with all the preparations, then you will copy and paste your Word document into Blackboard using the Create thread. Okay. For the beginning of the class, just to keep kind of everything organized so I can see what people are doing, I would like each of you to post in a unique thread to start the discussion. If you have any questions, let me know. Now, the keys to success. Read the assigned articles, because those things are great. That's going to be the basis of your entire doctoral degree, and by the time you're ready to write your dissertation, you should have hundreds and hundreds of references that you can draw upon. Use your articles to form the basis of your post. Again, we're interested in what you think the authors that you've read have said. Okay? You can use direct quotes. You can paraphrase what they've said. However, you have to base it upon what the experts say. You may think somebody is overrated, but to express that opinion, you have to find 10 other respected, published authors who say the same thing. Synthesize. That means reading a lot and writing a little. Here's where your creativity and analysis count. So, until next time, goodbye, good luck, and I'm looking forward to seeing your first work.